I try to find balance also by really putting an emphasis on what's important to me outside of work, right? Because those highs and lows of being an entrepreneur are crazy. And if I emotionally lived by those, I'd be a train wreck.
Yeah.
And so for me, like my family and my fitness really ground me. And they're things that I do constantly and spend time on every day. And those kind of help to soundproof the craziness of work.
Welcome to Business with Purpose. I'm your host, Molly Stillman, and this show is all about bringing you the stories behind the brands, the companies, and the small businesses that are changing the world. Each week, I get to sit down with an incredible entrepreneur, business leader, community activist, difference maker, speaker, author, someone really incredible who's trying to make a positive impact, not only through their personal life, but also with their career. My goal is to show you, the listener, that no matter what you do, no matter where you are, you can make an impact. My guest this week is Steven Izen. He is the founder and CEO of Lokai, the iconic bracelet brand that motivates wearers to stay humble at their highs and hopeful at their lows in life. When Steven was 19 years old, his beloved grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, an event that brought Steven to his personal low in life. It was during this time that Steven turned his pain into his purpose and launched his first product, the Lokai bracelet. Each Lokai bracelet holds water from Mount Everest and mud from the Dead Sea, the highest and lowest points on Earth. Everyone experiences peaks and valleys in life. No matter who you are, no matter your age, race, sexuality, gender, ethnicity, politics, or income, this universal truth binds us in polarizing times, especially when we learn to stay humble at our highs and hopeful at our lows. Steven currently serves as the youngest member on the national board of the Make-A-Wish Foundation and was named to the Forbes 30 Under 30 for retail and e-commerce in 2017 and was the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Awards finalist in 2016. This is such a good conversation, and I love how Steven gets really practical in some of the ways that he approaches his business, how he approaches his life. And I asked him all of the logistical questions for how do you get Dead Sea mud and how do you get Mount Everest water, and you will never guess what they do. It's actually pretty cool and pretty interesting, so I know that you're going to love it. Also, I just wanted to let you know that if you're listening to this episode on the day it comes out, we are just a few weeks away from relaunching the rebranded version of this podcast. I have been working behind the scenes over the last couple of months to make this happen, and the first official episode will be in the first week of January. I will release a Business with Purpose episode the last week of December that will go all into the rebrand and why we're doing it, what the new name is going to be, what it's going to look like. I am so excited. I've actually already started doing interviews for the new podcast, and you are just going to be so pumped about some of the guests I have lined up. I am so excited. So get excited about it, look forward to it, and be sure to tell your friends. But without further ado, on to my conversation today with Steven Izen. Steven, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you. Thank you for being here.
Molly, thank you so much for having me.
I have been kind of like, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Like loosely following, internet stalking, I don't know, whatever you want to say, your brand for quite some time now. So to be able to really hear your story and the story behind it is exciting for me. So let's dive in and have you give us the Steve 101. So tell us who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, sure. My name's Steven Izen. Most importantly, I am a father of 2 little boys and a husband. After that, I consider myself an athlete and an entrepreneur. The first company that I started is called Lokai. They're bracelets that hold water from Mount Everest and mud from the Dead Sea in them, the highest and lowest points on Earth. And it's a reminder to always stay balanced in life, staying humble when you're on top of the world and hopeful when you've hit a low. And I came up with the idea for Lokai when I was 19. I was a freshman in college. And unfortunately, my grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And he was someone I was very close to growing up. And that news just brought me to a low in my own life. And it just got me thinking about the highs and lows that I was going through and how everyone goes through highs and lows in their life. Doesn't matter your age, demographic, income level. We all have them. And so I said, okay, well, what are the highest and lowest points on earth, and how could I take those elements and incorporate them in a product that myself and others could wear every day as a reminder to find balance.
Man, that's deep. Also, you got that like 60-second elevator pitch down. I love it.
I've been doing it for 13 years.
You've been doing it for a while. Okay. I want to get into all of that because I am fascinated by this, but I also like to, because this is who I am and I'm nosy, I like to go back. So were you an entrepreneurial kid? Was that just always how you were? Were you starting like businesses? I like to, I don't know if I've ever even actually told this story on the podcast before, but my husband is very much an entrepreneur as well. And his first business when he was a kid was selling acorns in his neighborhood. There wasn't quite a market for acorns, but he collected them and he tried to sell them with his cousin.
I love it.
So I always like to find out, like, did you have an acorn selling business, or what was your thing going up?
Oh yeah. I mean, my father was an entrepreneur and so was my grandfather. In high school, I'm super into woodworking. And so I had a custom wood pen business in high school.
Nice.
I made and sold all the products myself. And as a little kid, I was the guy with the lemonade stand, and I always wanted to do the yard sales and sell everything. So, yeah, it's always been a part of me.
I love that there was a market, and you went to a much more highbrow high school than I did, because I don't know if anybody in my high school would have bought a custom made wood pen, but I love it.
Yeah, and I was selling them in the stores, actually.
What?
Yeah. We were in like 40, 50 stores around Boston.
Okay, this is amazing, because here I was like just thinking you're like peddling wood pens a lot in the halls of your high school, and you were like wholesaling to retailers.
Yeah.
Wow, you and I lived very different high school careers. Well, So you said that your grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and obviously that is Alzheimer's dementia it's a devastating diagnosis. And I have so many dear friends and family members who have walked through this, and it is hard. It's so challenging, and it's one of those diagnoses that it stings in a different way. What was that time like for you and your family? And I assume, obviously, because of the way that, what was born out of this season for you is that you and your grandfather were really close.
Yeah, we were incredibly close. And that news brought me to the lowest point in my life. I mean, at that age, that was the first time that I knew in the near future someone was going to pass that I was close with. And as a teenager, that's a very different new experience. It's part of life, but the first time I think is very tough.
And you said that led you to obviously starting Lokai. Was it what, I guess I'm just curious, like what that process even looked like for you, where you were just like, I'm going through this really hard thing, and I'm going to make and sell bracelets that have water from the Dead Sea or water from Mount Everest and mud from the Dead Sea. Yep. Like how do you get there?
Yeah, I mean, the idea all happened in minutes, but it was me thinking about being on vacation, which was exciting and a high point for me. But then the news of my grandfather are low. So I was like, okay, I'm going through highs and lows. What are the highest and lowest points on earth? And then I came up with the idea of doing it as a bracelet because I wanted something you could wear every day, right? A t-shirt, like you don't wear the same shirt every day.
Right.
But jewelry you can. And I told my dad the idea, and he said, that's a great idea, but everyone has great ideas. Now go execute it.
Ooh.
And so I started by literally Googling like how to find a factory in China, and just step by step. I guess when you're young, ignorance is bliss. And I was willing to run through walls to figure it out and make it happen.
Okay. So I love that because I'm just very fascinated by logistics questions and just trying to figure out and navigate the step by step, because you get this idea and then you're like, okay, well, what do I do next? And that's also partly why I like to interview business owners. So you're 19, you're Googling how to find a factory, and I have actual logistics questions as well as to how did you go about acquiring water from Mount Everest and mud from the Dead Sea? Did you like hike up there with some buckets and you're just like, I'm gonna grab this myself? I legitimately would love to know how you do that.
Yeah. So the mud is a lot easier to get.
Obviously. Yes.
Because they make a lot of beauty products out of mud from the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of face masks. So I was able to find a wholesaler who was willing to sell me mud from the Dead Sea.
Love it.
So that one wasn't too hard to find.
Yeah.
The water from Mount Everest took me a bit of time. At first, I was calling any phone number in Nepal that I could get a hold of. Eventually, I got connected to a climbing group. Like if you wanted to go climb Mount Everest, you wouldn't go by yourself.
Right.
Like you would sign up and pay a company to take you up the mountain with a team of Sherpas.
Right.
And so we basically employ a team of Sherpas, but instead of taking people up, they just go up, bottle the water, and bring it down.
Wow. You employ a team of Sherpas to go up Mount Everest and bring it down in bottles of water. My back hurts like thinking about walking down Mount Everest with bottles of water. That is amazing. And maybe this is a weird question, but again, I'm fascinated by the logistics of this. So, because I have a beautiful Lokai bracelet. How much goes in the little? Do you call them beads? Is that what they are? Beads?
Yeah,
balls?
You can call them beads.
Yeah, beads, balls.
Yeah, the white bead and the black bead. Enough to fill them. But we can get a lot of bracelets out of a small amount of buckets.
Yeah. Okay. I just think this is so cool and so fascinating. And obviously so many other people do too, because Lokai has really has become very well known. And so when you first launched and you got your prototype of the bracelet, what were those early steps like to begin to market this, get this out there, and to become the brand that it is now with over, 1 million followers on Instagram?
Yeah. A lot of people say, you hear the term a lot, like, oh, that was an overnight success. Right. Whether it's Lokai or other brands. But for years, I had a display of product walking around New York City, walking into boutique stores saying, hey, is the manager here? Is the owner here? Like, could I tell them my story and see if you're interested in selling my product? And I got turned down 99 out of 100 times. Right. Yeah. But the one store that said, yes, we'll try it, fueled me to keep going. And every time I told the story, people loved it. And so I knew that we were truly connecting with people and that there was an emotional attachment to the product. I just needed to figure out how to reach more people, and was able to do that through social media, which eventually helped us really grow and become a real D2C brand in the early days.
Yeah. When you were beginning to, like I said, I love that image of you just like walking into stores being like, can I speak to the manager?
That's just exactly what I did.
Yeah. The hustle of that and the grit and the tenacity that takes is not something that everybody has. But I always am encouraged when I see entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs who know that they have something that people are going to want, and they just gotta push through. Actually, I was listening to a podcast this morning and they were talking about Scrabble. And when Scrabble was first invented, it was called crossed up words, something like that. It was something kind of crazy. And it was this guy that had just like invented this game. This was back in probably like the late 40s. He invented this game. And he's like, I think this is going to be really popular. I think this is going to be really fun. And nobody wanted it. So he tried to wholesale it. Nobody wanted it. And, but then another guy had played it and was like, oh, this is fun. Can I buy this game? And can I, manufacture this game? And I'll give you the royalties to the guy that originally invented it. He's the one that kind of changed the game a little bit. He changed some of the squares and he renamed it to Scrabble. And he was like, this is going to be it. This is going to be the hit. And he actually sold it to hotels. And so he'd gone into hotels and he said, I think your guests are going to really like the game. Well, the game flopped and nobody wanted to play Scrabble. But then this was like the early 1950s. And I think it was the president of Macy's at the time was in his hotel room, played Scrabble. And he was like, I love this game. Like everybody, I need this game. Why is nobody buying this game? Why is nobody playing this game? And it was like the president of Macy's. He contacted the manufacturers and he started selling them in Macy's. And then within a few years, it became now it's like the most popular game in the world or something like that. It's Scrabble.
Thanks for sharing. I didn't know that story.
Isn't that a cool story? But yeah. I love stories like that and stories like yours where it's like, you have this thing that everybody knows or just this thing that's become very popular and you hear the origin story of it, of like mixed up words or whatever it was called. I can't remember. And of course, I just listened to the podcast this morning and I'm already forgetting all of the details, but it really was the president of Macy's is basically the one that was like, you know what? Scrabble, we're going to make it a thing. Yeah. And so what was you said social media, was there a tipping point in the social media marketing where it really was like, it just became like wildfire?
Yeah. Lokai, the value of a Lokai is in the story that people attach of their own highs and lows, not the physical bracelet itself.
Right.
And so what we really tried to do was learn about people's stories, whether their mom had breast cancer or grandfather had Alzheimer's or whatever cause it might be, and reach out to them, celebrities, athletes, influencers, and say, hey, like, we know your story. Lokai is about finding balance. We have a Lokai that supports breast cancer research. Can we send you some?
Yeah.
And then they organically just started to tell their own story of their highs and lows in breast cancer and the Lokai and what it meant to them. And it just exploded. One of the most important parts of Lokai is that we donate 10% of profits to charity. And we've donated a little over $9.4 million to different nonprofit organizations since we launched.
Well, and I'm so glad that you said that because that was actually going to be my next question for you was that a piece of this business that you wanted to implement right away, or did that come a little bit later? Did you know that this was going to be something that, yes, it was going to be a product that was going to encourage people, help people tell their stories, but also you wanted it to be something that, really, created a ripple effect of change and of, just hope, especially for partnering with different organizations and nonprofits and charities?
It came from the very beginning for two reasons. One, I believe giving back is such an important part of finding balance in your own life, right? I think giving yourself a bit of perspective as to what you view as your highs and lows and what other people are going through.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes your quote unquote issues not feel so big anymore. And so that giving back has always been something that was instilled in me from a very young age with my parents. And I think that people who are part of our community are able to now give back through just buying our products. And second, there were some amazing inspirational companies that I watched growing up, like Patagonia. And I thought to myself, why make money and then give back later? Why can't the company be doing really great things for the world at the same time? And so, every company that I am a part of also gives back in some way.
I'm going to take a quick break from my chat with Steven to thank our partner of the show, and that is Mama Suds. I've been a longtime fan and user of Mama Suds products. The head mama, Michelle Smith, has been on the podcast before a couple of years ago. I just adore this company. I love that I'm supporting a mama-owned small business. But what I love most of all is that her products are amazing. We use everything from their all-purpose household cleaner, which you can use on windows, walls, toilets, countertops, literally anywhere. It is all purpose. I mean, carpets, anything. I love their Castile soap. I love their laundry soap. I love their toilet bombs. You name it, we've used it, and I'm such a big fan, and I want you to be too. So head on over to mamasuds.com. Use the promo code MOLLY, and that will get you 15% off. That's mamasuds.com. Use the promo code MOLLY, and that gets you 15% off. Now, without further ado, back to my conversation with Steven Izen. Now, you talk a lot, and obviously this is all about what Lokai is about. And I guess did you say, or did I ask? I don't know, maybe. My brain synapses are not fully firing today, so it could be. But what does Lokai mean? Why the name?
So we changed the spelling a bit, but the inspiration for the word Lokai comes from Lokahi, which is a Hawaiian word, which means unity and to blend opposites. We changed the spelling to kind of make it our own, but that's the origins of it.
I love that. So again, you talk about finding balance, and you talk about these highs and lows, and, yes. And how literally no one is immune to it. Doesn't matter your race, your sexuality, your gender, your socioeconomic status. It literally doesn't matter at all. Every single person, when you are born on this planet, you're going to have the highs in life and you're going to have the lows in life. And that is also inevitable and a promise in entrepreneurship. And
to the extreme.
Yeah. So how do you find that balance in entrepreneurship? Because I saw a meme, like maybe this is probably a couple of years ago, but I saved it because it was like it just basically looked like a roller coaster, and it was like the joys of entrepreneurship, and it's like, this is great, and then within the same day it's like, I want to quit and throw everything out the window, and I'm going to never do this ever again. So it's just entrepreneurship is constantly that. So how, for you, what does that look like practically for you when you're having those, this is great days, and then the days where you're just like, I want to throw all of this out and start over?
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like, even though, and I think over the years, I've gotten a lot better at living the Lokai message.
Yeah.
But it's hard. And I think what's interesting is in some days, like one day, I'll have something amazing happen and something really bad happen.
Yep.
And you're like, whoa, like that's a high and a low in the same day.
Yeah.
And then other times, like, there'll be great months or really bad months, or great years and really bad years. So there's also like just going through the highs and the lows and the different waves of it, and realizing you'll never really stay at one for too long.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just try to, I try to find balance also by really putting an emphasis on what's important to me outside of work, right? Because those highs and lows of being an entrepreneur are crazy. And if I emotionally lived by those, I'd be a train wreck.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, my family and my fitness really ground me. And they're things that I do constantly and spend time on every day. And those kind of help to soundproof the craziness of work.
And does that, like, what, on a practical level, does that mean, you're not starting your day without having, gotten your workout in, or when you're, does that mean you're making sure you're starting your day by reading a book with your kids? Or, I mean, how do you do that when it is so easy for us to get distracted by the emails and the social media notifications and the texts and the calls and there's so many things that come at all of us, and especially if you're in an entrepreneurial space, what do you do to block those things out and really focus on, okay, here are the things that I need to do to take care of me and what's most important, again, fitness, your family, all that, before I get to anything else?
Yeah. I live by my calendar.
Yeah.
So, and I block things out. So 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., it says family time in my calendar. And then from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., it also says family time, kids with dinner and taking a bath and putting them to bed.
Yeah.
So like those hours every day on my calendar are blocked, right? And so no one can put meetings, and I do them. Same with my workouts.
Yep. Yeah.
And I just try to not go off that pace, because I know how important getting those things are to my work, right? If I don't feel like I've checked or not checked those boxes, but like filled my cup,
right,
in those parts of my life, I won't be as present at work. I'll be more anxious. So I know that by doing those things, I'm a better leader and a better CEO as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so good. And that's a lesson for really everyone. And that's something that I have, I've gone through seasons where I have lived and died by my calendar, and then times where I have not done great at that. And that is actually something I was telling my husband yesterday, because I'm rapidly approaching the deadline for submitting my manuscript for my book on January 13th. And I said to him, the last month or so, I have not been able to get as much done as I've wanted to, because I've just been distracted by so many other things. And I was like, I know exactly what I have to do. And so I went into my calendar and I blocked off basically every free moment between 8 and 5 between now and January 13th. And I'm like, nope, this is time to write my book. And then I also put on there when I'm going to work out and when I'm going to, like, how I'm going to not allow the minutia and the things that don't matter to distract from the thing that I know is most important that I get done right now. And also to not let, my family suffer, or my health and wellness and my walk with the Lord. Like, I don't want any of those things to suffer. You know what I mean? So it's like, sometimes you have to just put it on the calendar.
Totally. Focus.
Yes. Well, what is on the horizon for Lokai, kind of in the near future, maybe in the distant future? What are you working on right now?
Yeah, we launched a membership program where every month our members get a different designed Lokai that inspires balance in a different way, just keeping the message top of mind for people, giving them different perspectives at how they look at balance. And then we're just working on building more of a community with the people that are members, and a support system for people that are going through highs and lows. That's
so fun. Well, I am really excited to share that for people that are listening, we have a coupon code for you, a promo code. So you can go to lokai.com. That's LOKAI.com. And you can use the promo code podcast15, and that will get you 15% off your order on lokai.com. And I'm just saying, it's December 7th. There's still time to order some stocking stuffers, some end of year gifts. And I love that, you have bracelets for men, for women. So you can, kids, you can get them for anybody on your list.
Yeah, everyone. We have and different licenses. So if you got a sports fan in your family, we have NFL, MLB, NBA Lokais. We have Disney, Marvel, Star Wars ones.
I saw the Mickey Mouse ones, and I was like, "Oh, these are fun!" Yeah, so many fun ones. Yeah, all different colors, and I love the licensed ones. So this is a great opportunity for you to try them out. Again, I'm going to say that one more time. It's lokai.com, LOKAI. LOKAI. I got to say that 3 times fast.com, and use the code podcast15, and that will get you 15% off. Well, Steven, this is the portion of the show where we transition just a little bit and we ask some fun get to know you questions. So, Steven, are you ready for the get to know you round?
I'm ready.
All right. So question number 1 is, what has made the biggest impact on you in the past year?
definitely my children.
And so how old are they?
I have a 3.5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Oh, love it. Love it. I will say, I mean, my kids are 6 and 9. One of my favorite ages is the 18-month to like 3 range. There's something about that age. One, they still, I mean, yes, there's the, the terrible 2s. Although I'll say 3 is really like more a little bit challenging than 2. Because 2, I just feel like that they're sponges. They're just constantly learning new words, constantly learning new phrases. They're funny, like their personalities are really starting to come out and the things they say are funny. But then they also have that sweet, like they want to snuggle you and they want to play and
totally.
Oh, it's the best. Yeah. I'm like, I look back at videos and pictures of my kids at that age and I'm just like, oh, like time is the worst. Okay. Question number 2 is, obviously I know you're an entrepreneur. I know you're a dad, you're a husband, you are really into fitness. What is something I would never guess about you?
Ooh, that's a great question. I love woodworking.
Yeah, that is good. So what do you do? Obviously, are you making pens still, or do you do something different now?
No, I haven't in a while. I've been a bit busy, but sculptures, furniture. Luckily, my father-in-law is also into woodworking. I know that's crazy and a coincidence. And he has a wood shop in his garage. So I'm still very close to it and get to just build stuff in my free time.
That's awesome. So I'm not into woodworking. So as this probably comes as a shock to no one. Although I do a lot of things that are a shock to people, considering I live on a farm. But my dad likes to do kind of woodworking. We had a cedar tree that my husband had to cut down last year. And my dad, we have a sawmill here. And so my husband planked some of the cedar. And so my dad was like, hey, can I have some of that wood? And my dad ended up making this beautiful Adirondack chair out of that cedar. And he had some scrap cedar left over. And he calls me the other day. He's like, hey, my dad's 78, by the way. And so my dad's like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, home like I always am. He said, I'm going to stop by. I have something for you. And so he had some of this scrap wood left over from when he made that Adirondack chair. And my dad like made this beautiful manger scene, like nativity scene as a Christmas decoration out of the remaining cedar. I mean, it's like, I'm talking, we're talking carved like baby Jesus in a manger. I was like, Dad, what? How'd you learn how to do this?
That's awesome.
I know. And then my father-in-law worked at the same furniture company for like 35, almost 40 years, retired a couple years ago, and he took up woodworking in his retirement. So like my father-in-law like is now doing these little like market shows and trade shows selling his wares. Cool. And just like I said to my husband, I was like, what are the odds that both of our dads are like doing stuff with wood in retirement? So anyway, I love it. Okay. Question number 3 is, what was your favorite TV show to watch growing up?
I mean, I don't know about like growing up as a young kid, but the two of my favorites were The Wire.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I was young, I loved Lost. Loved Lost.
We're meant to be friends, Steven. Lost is one of my favorite shows of all time that I still to this day like mourn the end of it. And I am kind of teetering on, is my daughter old enough to start showing her Lost? And my husband's like, I think she's not quite old. I'm like, I think she is. She's almost 10. She'll be fine. And he's like, what about like the smoke monster? And there's some stuff in there. And I was like, it'll be fine. We should watch it.
That's amazing.
So good. Okay. Who's your favorite Lost character?
Oh, what's his name? Curly haired guy. Obviously.
Hurley?
Yeah,
Hurley. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hurley.
I mean, they're all good, but there's something about Sawyer and his like nicknames for everybody and his character arc from who he was at the beginning to who he was at the end. So good. Okay. Anyway, we could go off on a whole tangent and just talk about Lost. All right. Last question. This is the question I ask all of my guests, and that is Steven. What does it mean to you to run a business with purpose?
It means having a team that feels fulfilled about what they do in their career, helping others, and also building a successful business that grows.
Yeah. So good. Well, Steven, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. And I can't wait to see how Lokai continues to grow and impact so many people.
Molly, thank you so much for having me.
Loved this conversation with Steven. So good. Don't forget to go to lokai.com, LOKAI.com. Use that code podcast15 to get you 15% off your order. I want to know what you loved about this episode. Let us know on social media. You can find me at Still Being Molly or at Business with Purpose Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. And would you take a moment to head on over to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen, and would you click that subscribe or follow button? And would you take a moment to leave a review? Doing that is totally free and is really helpful because it helps us to grow the show. I'm so thankful for you and your support. And I'm thankful to the team at Third Wheel Media for all they do each week to help me get this show out there because I could not do it without them. Now for you, as always, go do something good with purpose on purpose.